What's up YouTube, this is Sean. I am back, and in this video we are going to be working on some gloves or glove covers where they're kind of like gloves with no fingers and thumb, but yeah. So this is the only pattern that you're going to need to make these fingerless gloves, and I'm also going to sew on these fins. The fabric I'm using stretches 2 ways, but it would have been better if I got something that stretches 4-way. And this is a black tablecloth material. It was cheap, so why not? I have my material folded so I can cut 2 of the patterns at the same time. And here I am cutting out the registration marks because that's where your thumb's going to go through. And I've already got the materials cut out. Now it's time to pair them up together. I'm going to use the stretchy material for the inner part of the arm. And then the pleather tablecloth is going to be the outside part of the arm. There are some fins that I'm going to cut out in this 3mm craft foam, and I'm going to sew this onto the sleeveless gloves too. So this kind of gives it that coolness factor. So now it's time to put both right side material together, and then I'm going to slip the fins in just right about there. And you want to make sure that is on the outside part of the arm. I'm going to take a crayon. I'm going to mark right there where I'm not going to sew, because that's where your thumb goes through. I'm going to start with a back stitch and then do another back stitch as soon as I hit that mark, and then skip all the way to the other mark and then start my stitches again, starting and ending with a back stitch. Now if you don't do a back stitch, then the threads could fall apart on you, so that's kind of important. Then I'm going to trim off all the excess threads that I don't need, and then kind of just clean up those little pieces there. Then I'm going to take this double-sided tape that's made for sewing. Now I don't think this is the same as regular double-sided tape. This is like good for sewing machines, and I'm going to use this to hold down that seam allowance, so that way I can hem the thumb area down. Now I want to put some double-sided tape on both the front and the back material, and this is basically just going to hold it down for me while I sew, and it just makes things easier and helps me keep things looking nice and clean. Now I'm going to start off with a back stitch at the top of the thumb slot with the needle down, and then I'm going to pivot the material over until I reach the bottom part of that thumb slot with the needle down, then pivot and do a couple back stitch to reinforce that area right there. And then as for this side, this is some stretchy material. I did switch the sewing machine over to zigzag when I sewed that part right there. That's just because the zigzag will allow the material to stretch. If you do a straight stitch, then you're just gonna bust a stitch. So yeah, keep that in mind when you are sewing stretchy material. Now I'm going to go and hem up the top of the gloves, or is it the bottom? It depends. I mean, if your arms are up, then they would be the top of the gloves, but if your arms were down, then they would be the bottom of the gloves. Or let's just call it the finger part of the fingerless gloves. I hope that makes sense. Now this would have been easier if I had hit it with the iron, but I wouldn't really go at pleather with an iron. Now I could have used the double-sided tape right here. It would have made things a little bit easier, but I'll keep that in mind next time. And notice I did the zigzag stitch on the stretchy material. And now I'm gonna go and do the top or the elbow side of the gloves. Now I'm using a Singer sewing machine. It does pretty well sewing pleather, but if you go into doing multiple layers, then you really got to slow it down. Now I'm going to switch the sewing patterns to a zigzag stitch right here, because this part right here will need to stretch because it kind of goes over the forearms. Now my forearms are a little chunky, and I need all the stretch I can get. And now that I have both ends of the gloves hemmed up, it's time to go and sew on the outer part of the gloves. And here are my fins that I cut out with cut out of 3mm EVA foam. I'm just gonna sandwich it in between the two material, and then I'm gonna take it real slow. We'll start off with a back stitch, and then go over the foam and make sure everything is nice and straight, and then just take it easy when you go over it. Now it looks fast because I have everything sped up like 2 times, so yeah, I'm actually going really slow. I don't know if you noticed it. And I've already passed the EVA foam, and I'm going to do a back stitch right there at the finger part of the gloves. And so that's pretty much it. Time to flip this thing over and check it out. Now these are pretty tight on me. If I was actually wearing a shirt with some sleeves and these gloves has to go over the sleeves, then I would need to make it a size bigger. Now it would fit somebody that didn't have such chunky arms, but I have like Popeye arms. And the material stretch, it almost didn't stretch enough. You see right here is I'm kind of having a hard time slipping it on, but I get it on there. But I think if I was wearing long sleeve shirt, it wouldn't have gone over. And notice how I can adjust the fins. Now this is actually cosplay crowded type convention friendly. Now I don't think we have to worry about crowded conventions nowadays, but yeah, I mean it could go back to it pretty soon, hopefully, maybe soon. Now it's time to try on the other side. Now the cool part with the EVA foam is that you can actually go through and paint it. The only reason why I used red was because that was the only color I had in 3mm. But it would look good in like maybe a Red Hood cosplay, or maybe even a Batman Beyond cosplay. Or these would actually look really good for a Batwoman cosplay too. So yeah, keep that in mind. Just keeping it simple, you know? And it looks pretty cool, and it's very comfortable too, and it's easy to store. So in the next video, I'm going to be making some gaiters, which I'm going to convert these funky looking shoes into these awesome looking cosplay boots. Yeah, so stick around for that, because I bet you're really going to enjoy it. So the sewing patterns for both the gloves and the boots will be in the links in the description down below. Hit that like button if you got something out of this video, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.